Back to Parliament for our earlier story where NDC MP for North Tongue Samuel Ablakwa is calling on government to roll out immediate measures to bridge the high salary inequalities between Article 71 office holders and ordinary workers in the public service. The 2019 Professor Yabedu Intiamwa Emoluments Committee expressed concern in 2016 that ordinary public sector workers earned about 6% of the monthly average salary of Article 71 office holders. Now, the report observes the highest paid public servant in that year and 28% of the salary of a member of parliament. Mr. Ablakwa says the situation is worrying and he says it has to be reversed as soon as possible. Joseph Gakpo is our man in parliament and he joins us again. Hopefully the line is better now. Gakpo, what are Mr. Ablakwa's concerns?
Thinks that the wide gap between Article 71 office holders in terms of their remuneration and that of ordinary members of the public service is something that is worrying. He thinks it's breeding some form of anger among ordinary members of the public and the youth generally, which is not very healthy for politicians themselves and for the country as a whole. And he's of the firm opinion that what you would call scratch my back, scratch your back kind of practice, as we're seeing with the emoluments that get approved for the executive by Parliament and for Parliament by the executive, is very much out of place, and that there should be the establishment of an independent committee on emoluments to actually oversee some of these practices. He says in places like the UK, specific bodies have been established that take care of this, rather than having a new committee being set up every 4 years in order to roll out some of these emoluments for various public officers. And so he says if these recommendations are taken into consideration, things may change going forward.
But he himself is a member of parliament. What does he intend to do? I know recently he's been filing motions, for instance, to ask questions about the purchasing or the hiring of a private jet for the president to travel, which he says the finance minister has still not provided answers. What does he intend to do about this one?
In this case, he only makes the point that there is the need for a national conversation on what the way forward should be. He goes on to make the point that if even it becomes necessary that after this said independent body does its various assessments, it becomes clear that MPs are earning too much. Him as an MP, he's ready and willing to take a pay cut in order to help bridge the inequalities. And so for now, what he's doing is mainly advocating and calling for some form of reforms and a national conversation on how the way forward should be. He's not indicated any plans to do anything on the floor specifically to help deal with the situation at hand.
Joseph Gakpo, what else is happening in Parliament? Anything we need to know?
The House just began sitting. The roads minister is on the floor of the House responding to questions on what is being done to curb the road accidents that have actually been unfolding in various parts of the country. He's responding to that, indicating that necessary investments are being done in infrastructure and other road safety campaigns to avoid any further deaths when it comes to accidents. The ranking member on Parliament Finance Committee, Case Latufosin, has also been addressing a media briefing in Parliament House. He's been demanding that First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo goes ahead to refund any monies that may have come to him from other state agencies like the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, beyond her refunding the allowances that she earned, if she thinks that some of those payments didn't go through the right procedures, because he insists that some of those monies that have gone to her foundation haven't gone through the right procedures. And so he's daring her to be bold enough to go ahead and refund some of those additional sums that have gone to her as far as her foundation is concerned. And he's generally been criticizing the said planned payments that should have gone to herself and the second lady. There's been response to that from the majority. Dr. Stephen Amwa, the MP for Nshaiso, thinks it's all just propaganda and it's all just hot air being blown by those on the minority side. And finally, the minority spokesperson on health, Kwabena Mintakando, has also been addressing the media. He is demanding urgent action to stop what he says is the spiking cases of COVID-19 in the country. And he insists that the situation is getting out of hand and government must settle.
Joseph Gakpo is our man in Parliament. We're still keeping an eye on activities in Parliament and we'll bring you more in our subsequent bulletins.